Hello everybody, today we're going to take a look at some power points here. Okay, in this video we're actually going to take them apart and I'm going to show you what's inside. Okay, now these are Clipsal 2000 series power points, of course. We've got two vertical and two horizontal. Okay, so now this one here has an extra switch on it, so this is known as the 2015X. Okay, these ones here do not. Okay, so we're going to take all of these apart and see what's inside. Now these three here are Clipsal, this one's a Delta, okay, but they're identical. Okay, so we have a single vertical, we've got a double vertical, we've got a double horizontal, and of course a single horizontal with an extra switch. Okay, now these are Clipsal, of course. These are the newer ones. So the 2000 series basically replaced the standard series, which is no longer made. Okay, now there is actually another generation known as the 3000 series, or the Iconic. Okay, but the 2000 series is actually Australia's #1 series of power points and switches. There are HPMs available. Okay, they are common too. I think these are the most common. Okay, to be used throughout Australia. Okay, now these are an Australian-made item, of course. Okay, Clipsal are all made in Australia. They always have been. Okay, I think there's some that are made in New Zealand too, because I think New Zealand uses Clipsal too. Okay, and also England uses Clipsal as well. So so there's probably some that are probably made over in England. Okay, so all right, so let's take all of these apart and we'll see what's inside. Okay, now usually inside these there's brass, copper, and stainless steel. So we're going to take all of these apart and we're going to take a look inside. So to do this, we just got to undo some screws on the back. Okay, now you got to be careful, okay, because there's a lot of pieces in these that can actually fall out if you don't take them apart correctly. Okay, so we'll start off with this one. So this is a single horizontal one. Okay, and oops, hopefully I don't lose anything there. Okay, so there's our screw. So this is the this is what's inside here. Okay, now inside the housing, you can see the earth pin's actually wider. That's because you can accommodate a 15 amp, because this does come in 15 amp as well. Okay, and I can see on here that it's bigger to accept a 15 amp, but this is only a standard 10 amp. It's not a 15 amp. Okay, 15 amp always has a larger earth pin. Okay, so this is the actual part here. And this is where all the copper and all the brass is. Okay, so this will probably be so people so probably maybe if you cash this in for scrap, you probably get some money for it, I guess. But that's basically inside. When you flick this, it moves this copper part up and down to create the circuit. Now this is the live that it's controlling. It's not controlling the neutral or the earth. Okay, alright, so that's basically that one. Okay, I'm going to leave it apart because we might do some comparing. Okay, I'm just going to set this off to the side. Okay, being careful not to lose our screws. Okay, what I'm going to do is stick them in the housing so I don't lose them. Okay, so now we have the double one. Okay, so we'll take this one apart. Okay, now this one's held on by 4 stainless steel Phillips head screws, as well that one was only held on by 3 flathead screws. Okay, now this is a newer one because the newer ones, they're white. On the older ones, the back was grey. Okay, but they're now white now. Okay, but I think that's probably because the paint may have expired, to what I believe. Okay, so now we've got this out. Now we're just going to lift this off. Got to be really careful because there is parts in these that can actually fall out. Okay, so there's our housing. Once again, you can accommodate 15 amp as well. So set that there. So here's what's inside our double one. Okay, so we have the neutral, we have the earth and the live. Okay, the live is copper, that's where the neutral and earth are brass. Okay. You know, just feeling that mech, it's actually nice and smooth. I like the feel of that. If you can hear that, that's just quality. I like the all the stuff in this is good quality. Okay, there's no, it doesn't look cheap at all. It's actually very good quality. Okay, now these PowerPoints aren't cheap, actually, they're quite expensive. Okay, but they're quite good. Okay, if we compare this to our single one, you can see there is a difference there. Okay, this is black, this is white. Okay, but the parts inside look identical, don't they? Okay, so that was that one. So we're going to set this one off to the side now. Okay, so now we'll take a look in the horizontal one, but I believe we'll probably see something similar. Now this one's a used one. Okay, so we may see some tarnishing. So this is held on by stainless steel screws. Now this is an older one because it's grey. Okay, so we're just gonna lift this off. Okay, so here's what's inside the horizontal one. Okay, now this one is old, is a used one, so there is a bit of tarnishing on the brass. Okay, so let's clean this up. There's a bit of dust on these mechanisms. Okay, so this is what's inside here. Now, as you can see, the brass is a bit tarnished because, like I said, it's used. Okay, so we have copper down here. So the earthing is copper on this one. This one here, the live and the live is brass. Okay, as where this is the live on this side's brass, but the rest of it's copper. Okay, so that's basically inside the horizontal one. You can see it's a little different to the vertical one. Okay, so that's the difference there. Okay, and the housing, okay, it is dirty because, like I said, it's used, but once again, you can get this in a 15 amp. Okay, so we're going to set that off to the side now. Now we're going to take a look inside the Delta one. Okay, now this one here, we just got to take this apart. This is the extra switch mechanism. Okay, now this one here has Phillips / flat blade screws. Okay, so we're going to take a look and see what's inside this one. Okay, see if there's any difference between this and the Clipsal. I doubt there is, but we'll find out. Okay, so now we've got that off. Oh, like I said, we can lose parts if we're not careful. Okay, just get that back in there. There we go. Okay, so here's what's inside this one. Okay. Okay, now once again, it's all brass. There's no copper. Okay, the switch mechanism's up here. And this one here looks a little different to the Clipsal one. You can see. Yeah, the Clipsal one has a brass spring-loaded thing in here, as well this one does not. It's different. Okay, but okay, and it still feels like a smooth operation. I don't see any difference between that. They both sound the same in my regards. Okay, but that's the Delta one. Okay. Now this is an older one. The newer ones, the switch mechanism's curved. Okay, on the older ones it's flat. Okay. Okay, now this one here obviously does not accommodate 15 amp, but I'm pretty sure the Clipsal variant will. Okay. So it doesn't look any different to the Clipsals. I'd say it's just, I'd think the quality's about the same. They're probably both made in the same factory, just branded differently. So we'll put these back together now. I'm going to do it this way so that I don't lose anything. Okay, so if you are someone who likes to cash in copper and brass, okay, just see if maybe you might just come across some old PowerPoints or something, and you can probably just take all the brass out of them and you can cash it in that way. That's one way you can do. Now these are recyclable, so that's because they have all the brass in them. Okay, and they got this solid plastic housing, okay, which is recyclable. Okay, so when you discard PowerPoints, okay, don't throw them in the rubbish bin, throw them in the recycling bin, because you can actually recycle them. So we'll put this one back together now. Okay, that just goes on there. Okay, now I've known the Clipsal stuff since I was young. Okay, it's the stuff I grew up with. Okay, it's very good stuff. Clipsal have been making PowerPoints in Australia for years, and they still do. Okay, they also make them over in England too, but the English ones are a little bit different to the Australian ones, but once again, it's the same brand, okay? And also, I do believe you can get these over in New Zealand too, because New Zealand uses the same plugs. So New Zealand shares Australian aspects. Okay, I'm also noticing there's a little arrow on there, so you know that's up, okay? Because you don't want it upside down. You want it the right way up. Okay, so this one. Okay, just check. Okay, I'm also noticing they have these here for the wires, so that when they put the wires in, they just rest up against that plastic housing. Okay, now on the newer horizontal version of this, it's actually a clip-in, it's not a screw-in. Okay, so I don't know why they didn't make this a clip-in. Maybe they couldn't, maybe Clipsal couldn't, okay? But the horizontal one's still a screw-on, okay? And I find the screw-on to be easy to take apart, but the clip-on one, I have taken one of those apart, but it took some hassle. Okay, but I did get it apart. Okay. Okay, so, and another thing I should note with these is that only the live and the earth terminal have a coloured insert. The neutral terminal does not. Okay, if the neutral terminal did, it'll be black. Okay. Now with the live and neutral, it can be red or brown for live, or black and blue for neutral, but the earth is always green and yellow. Okay, so now we'll put this one back together. So this one here uses flat blade screws, I've noticed, as with those ones use Phillips head. Okay, now the horizontal, the versions of this with the extra switch are the same. Okay, and the vertical. Okay. So now these are flat heads, so we need a flat blade screwdriver. Okay, you can see it says made in Australia on there as well, so that just shows that these are very good products, okay, compared to a lot of other rubbish that might be made from overseas, okay, especially China, okay, which I'm not a big fan of. Okay, I don't like made in China, well, most people don't, okay, because usually made in China is just rubbish, okay, well, but yeah, so that's basically all that's inside PowerPoint. Okay, made by Clipsal and made by Doubter. So it's basically all just brass and copper. Okay, there's not much other to these, but if this is just a quick little to show you what's inside. So if you wanted to see what's inside, now you have. Okay, so that's basically all that's inside a PowerPoint, okay, or GPO. So I hope you enjoyed, and that'll be it.